Hey everybody! Welcome to Friday the 13th, the series. I'm your producer Robert.
And I'm your guest, Josh.
And I'm your guest, Stephanie.
And after a complete, spoiler-filled recap of the episode, we are going to discuss the show you either just learned existed or always wondered how it existed. We promise the answers will be few and far between because we're just here to have some goofity fun exploring a show that, despite or possibly even because of its faults, isn't good and isn't so bad it's good, but is still somehow oddly charming. Let's dive in, shall we? We're back to business as usual with Josh and Stephanie joining me one more time to finish our discussion of episode 16, Tattoo. Unless I got really creative in the editing room, this episode will be an even mix of my meandering summation of the story and our discussion of the most nonsensical moments. If you've been waiting patiently for the Deer Hunter references to finally crash headlong into the Chinatown homages, your prayers will finally be answered. And brace yourself for the most intense performance we've ever seen from an actor with no lines. Really, even if you don't watch the whole episode, just check out Tommy's opponent in the Russian roulette scene. This guy's technique should be taught at Juilliard. YouTube link available on the Inner Demon Entertainment website. We're back from a commercial break cliffhanger that would make the Dukes of Hazzard proud, and thrilled to the exciting conclusion of watching our hero cower and accept his demise until a Deus Ex Machina lowers to save the day. Imagine coming back from a pre-commercial river jump to find the General Lee having already landed safely. That's about the level of excitement we're dealing with here. Watching this demon hand burst from AJ's chest to strangle him prompts a host of questions. Was this arm sentient? Is there more demon inside him? Would AJ have died without being strangled? If so, is the demon, or self-aware arm, suicidal? What will the cops say when they find a corpse with a demon hand sticking out of it? What became of all the other tattoo creatures after they came to life? Could you just tattoo money on someone, then maybe choke them with it or something after it becomes real? And save your jokes about AJ's luck running out, because he managed to land on a pile of rice bags or something that perfectly cushioned his head from the concrete floor. Elsewhere, Tommy wins at dominoes? Whatever this game is, we're to believe it's statistically unlikely you can win 11 times in a row, as the casinorant will soon boot him for cheating with zero proof and without even allowing him to keep his original bankroll. I'm not sure why they care, as I get the feeling this game is played against other players, not the house, but again, I am far from certain. What I do know is that this particular casinorant eschews the use of chips and plays every hand with fat stacks of cash. If you were a degenerate Asian gambler in the late 80s, let us know how accurate that is. Outside Lum Chen's, our dynamic duo are really behind the 8 ball, not even being sure if Tommy hit his grandfather or not, much less anything of value. With a rare Chris Wiggins stutter on the word of, Jack Marshak suggests, as a gambler, Tommy might have discovered a way to make the needles pay. Yeah, isn't that kind of their whole raison d'etre? Are people using them to walk blindfolded through minefields? To be the kid who breaks the piñata? Are Daft Punk using them to get laid without being up all night? On that note, how would Satan feel if he knew his great works were being used to obtain intercourse at a sensible hour? Mickey is as disappointed in both Tommy and Lum Chen as Stephanie, and Jack informs her that,
well, to the Chinese, the family unit's sacred no matter what.
Be honest, you were so focused on the cultural stereotyping, the mansplaining slipped right past you. Having recovered from witnessing the scaly arm of a hellspawn bursting from a man's chest in a shower of gore, Ryan the Lion strolls up just in time to clock Tommy being booted from the gaming table. I have to admit, Friday, you showed admirable restraint in how many of these actors you had smoking. Yo, hold up. Is Tommy wearing a wedding ring? It's on his right hand, but it sure looks like a wedding band. Frank accosts Tommy on his way out, and hey, if you were watching him so closely, why didn't you step in when the house booted him and took all his winnings? That was your money, Frank. Ryan the Lion follows Tommy outside and loses him. How the hell did you lose him? There's not a single person outside except Mickey and Jack rolling up. How did you two not spot him? There's no one else on this street. Idiots. Yeah, after an overly long, tension-destroying shot of Mickey and Jack pulling up, parking, getting out, and then strolling over to Ryan the Lion, he says the thing we already realized by his body language, that he lost Tommy. Ryan mentions that a couple goons took all Tommy's money, but no. At least, not while you were watching, Ryan. Frank didn't take anything just now. That happened yesterday, before you were on the case. Needles or not, Tommy needs a bankroll to keep playing. Turns out, this Asian family's wealth is tied up in vases. Don't read too much into that, but another altercation between Tommy and Lum Chen leaves them smashed to pieces. The claustrophobia of a phone booth is well utilized to visually represent Tommy's fiduciary predicament as he fails to convince someone named Lee to allow him into his game. Out of options, he calls Frank, who is both conveniently back at his hideout and who appears to just be hanging out waiting for Tommy to call. Frank, have you risen to the coveted echelon of the one-client bookie? Because you're really giving me the vibes of that hot dog vendor following Homer around, who tells Marge, "Lady, he's putting my kids through college." And Tommy, buddy, calling Frank Mr. Wong at this late stage safely falls into the category of too little, too late. Frank, Mr. Wong, is tasked with stating the obvious twice. He is not happy and still doesn't have his money. Yeah, Tommy knows. Then Frank sends Tommy home to wait for him while he sets up a game of Russian roulette. Why? Kids, you know, I read a lot, especially about things, about history. I find that shit fascinating. Here's a fact I don't know whether you know or not. Back in the day, you could call payphones. So why is he sending Tommy home when he should be telling him to stay right there? Apparently, so we can watch Tommy enter, unzip his jacket, sit down, light a cigarette, and smoke. Man, it feels like as the show goes on, they just became more and more comfortable with depicting the characters just killing time. Is it an Asian homage? The way a Studio Ghibli film might have a moment where we just sit on a static shot of a character in a garden or on a train resting motionless, giving both them and us a chance to quietly contemplate? Even if it is, it's not like we just came off a car chase or shootout. The plot wasn't exactly a racehorse we rode too hard. Just to drive the boredom home, we dissolve to Tommy sitting and smoking in the foreground. Wait, is that the same cigarette? If so, Tommy, it undermines how long you've been waiting. No, you're probably chain smoking to calm your jangled nerves, right? Well, in that case, actor Leonard Chow didn't get the memo because throughout all this, he plays it as soporific as a Zen master on NyQuil. He even takes his sweet time answering the door when Frank finally knocks. Wait, what the hell? Frank is here? He didn't just call, he's here. In Lum Chen's home and place of business? Come to think of it, where the hell is Lum Chen? Where's Linda? Why is any of this happening this way? And why is Tommy suddenly arrogant and not begging for his life? This had to have been shot out of order without anyone informing the actors of what had happened previously in the story. And sorry, but listen to this exchange.
Are the stakes high?
Very.
Well, then I'll be able to pay you back everything I owe you.
In fact, you might say it's the ultimate game of chance.
Script doctor here. That line
Well, then I'll be able to pay you back everything I owe you.
shouldn't be there. I mean, it shouldn't exist at all, but if we have to have it, it needs to go elsewhere because it's currently sandwiched between two Frank lines that should come back to back. In an attempt to supersize the drama, Frank informs Tommy he needs to arrive at this mystery game at 11 o'clock, not early, not late. You're telling me a game of Russian roulette has so many volunteers they'll turn you away for arriving early. Maybe I've got it all backwards, but I feel like the moment you agree to participate in a game of Russian roulette, in some weird way, you're suddenly the one with the better hand. Well, it's all moot because if a harrowing scene of Tommy jumping a motorcycle from a rooftop onto a passing train in order to make the game was filmed, I'm afraid it didn't make the final cut. Before leaving, Frank again informs Tommy he'll be unhappy if Tommy doesn't make the game. Dude, you already stated that your happiness levels are dangerously low. It's kind of an impotent threat at this point. Tommy chucks the scrap of paper with the game's address on the floor of his grandfather's living room? Sales floor? You know, now isn't the time, but I'm doing it anyway. Lum Chen runs an herbal medicine shop the way a Midwestern parent runs a daycare out of their house. There is no dividing line between home and business. Even bigger tangent here, but am I the only one who finds it weird when a parent in a TV show operates a psychiatrist's office out of their residence? I'm thinking 80s sitcom Growing Pains or season 1 of American Horror Story here. There's a professional office that's almost indistinguishable from a private office, but nothing else to sequester your business from your family. Isn't that problematic for any number of reasons? Anyway, this home is darker than Curious Goods, lit mostly by candles, which makes for an atmospheric medicine store, but a home in which I'm sure you're always stubbing your toe and hunting for your keys. And yet, when Linda steps out so soon after Tommy's departure, she must have been listening through her bedroom door. She has no trouble spotting the scrap of paper with the game's address. And there it is, the reason Frank and Tommy conducted business here and not at Frank's office or via the phone booth. Speaking of, you could have saved yourself the phone booth location and just had Tommy call from Lum Chen's, write down the address, then leave without it. Honestly, I think this episode's writers were having trouble filling the hour, so inefficiency was a feature, not a bug. Outside, the gang spots Tommy leaving Lum Chen's and hang on. This time you didn't roll up but were staking out Chen's home? Why? It's your old buddy Lum Chen's. If you know Tommy is in there, just head on up. Actually, why didn't you spot him when he arrived? Where else did you go look before coming here? The crab store? As always, I am replete with questions and bereft of answers. Speaking of, Frank and co. intercept our heroes between the Winchester Mobile and Lum Chen's street entrance, and Tommy doesn't notice? Well, given that Frank and his goon, brandishing a gun, I might add, are just hanging out on the street and the 1 in a million chance someone might intercept Tommy, I'm more convinced than ever that Frank is a completely monogamous loan shark. In fact, in his long white overcoat, it's almost as if he's trying to resemble a swan, as they also mate for life. Not enough to simply stall them or send them off with a warning, Frank and his goon actually kidnap them. Wait a minute, that absurdity masks the far grander absurdity of Frank intercepting 3 random people. Yeah, neither he nor his goons have encountered any of our heroes, so to him, these are just 3 strangers he assumed were on their way to hassle Tommy and not, purchase some ginseng. It makes no sense, but does allow Frank to drop a Chinatown reference, so mission accomplished. And now Linda steps out, looks in both directions, fails to see the 3 white interlopers being forced into a town car at gunpoint by Frank and his henchmen, then heads off after Tommy, and at this point, I couldn't care less. Back from commercial break, you gotta love that Ryan's defense strategy essentially amounts to, not in the face! He's saved by sheer luck that this hand happens to burst out of AJ's chest at the moment it does.
Was he cornered against a wall, or was he just cowering out in the open?
They're in a relatively small space, and then as AJ is getting up with the board, Ryan basically backs himself into a corner against some crates.
It's always nice when the person you're about to attack does your work for you.
MMA wasn't a thing yet. He doesn't know you gotta run to the center of the ring as quickly as you can. It's like chess, Ryan. You gotta control the center. Were you too surprised by how violent this demon hand was?
Oh gosh, yes. Even watching it again this morning, it was just so gruesome. I was shocked.
Yeah, good effect, nice gore, but I would have just expected the hand to come out of his chest and strangle him. Maybe just being kind of a hologram look or something, but I wouldn't expect it to burst out like that with blood and everything.
Did you just say you expected it to come out and strangle him? Because I did not see the strangulation coming.
Really?
I thought bursting out of his chest would be enough.
Oh, yeah.
Strangling him kind of seems like overkill.
Yeah, until it did that, I just assumed it was either going to repeatedly punch him until he went unconscious and died, or strangle him, one or the other.
You thought it was going to punch him?
I thought that was a possibility, yeah, the stop hitting yourself, I guess.
Keeping with the martial arts theme, a foot was going to come out and start kicking.
I would have loved to see that.
Did you two contemplate the fact that, as far as we know, these tattoos don't disappear after they've killed their host? So the police are going to find a man with a demon hand sticking out of his chest?
That's a good point.
I hadn't considered that, but then now that you mention it, so is that hand still going to be alive and mobile, but just the man that it came out of is dead?
I guess the hand is suicidal. It was sentient enough to reach up and strangle him, but in so doing, it kills its host.
Does it visibly go limp or stop moving in some way after it has killed him?
When AJ dies, it stops moving.
Okay, it loses its purpose and dies with him.
It's a machine that's only good for turning itself off.
It's actually very distinct from spider, snake, pseudoscorpion. I was trying to think of what it was called. Those, we presume, continue living after they have killed their victims.
We think they're real now and are off wandering the world, getting in wacky adventures, whereas the hand is simply dead.
There could be so many spin-offs from this episode, like one where the crazy animals or creatures are off doing their own thing, and then Jack Marshak and the grandpa doing their own thing. And then when the police show up, Men in Black or X-File people show up, and it's like their adventure.
Did you two notice that when this actor goes down on the ground to protect his head, he lands perfectly on like a bag of rice or something that serves as a pillow?
Well, that's lovely.
It's a little bit racist on my part, but...
That at least fits because that room seemed to more or less adjoin to the kitchen.
Well, I think every room in town leads to that kitchen. I think this kitchen is like the nexus of the universe. It's the place beyond places.
That tracks.
You guys have anything else about that scene or that moment or the demon or anything?
Oh man, I somehow thought I could read faster than this.
You can't read your own handwriting?
I can read it. I'm just a slow reader. It's been so long since I've read printed word.
Oh, AI and autocorrect have destroyed us all.
Tommy gets called out for cheating, or presumed cheating, when he's won 11 hands in a row.
Yeah, I cannot believe Frank didn't intervene on Tommy's behalf. Because at the end of the day, that's all going to be Frank's money.
Yeah, that's true. Like, vouch for him, or just plain scare the people, because apparently Frank is known.
Don't get me wrong, casinos will give you the boot if they catch you cheating, but they just suspect it. And if I was another player at the table, I wouldn't want to play with a cheat, but at the same time, I don't want the casino to just be able to decide, hey, this guy's winning too much, throw him out on his butt.
Yeah, they're going to deny winning just because they don't like it. Well, that is a problem that would make you not want to actually gamble there then.
And I could be wrong, but this doesn't seem like the kind of game where you play against the house. It seems like the kind of game where you play against the other players, and the house just takes a cut from every hand. So what do they care if he's winning or not?
Yeah, Tommy even says something, I think, to the guys around him, like, better luck next time, guys. So yeah, clearly he's taking their money, it seems. The other thing that occurred to me is that Frank is doing this always in person. He doesn't just send his henchmen to do it while he's conducting other business.
Well, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but you're hitting on a note that I had. When Tommy leaves this place and then gets on a payphone and calls Frank, Frank is basically that hot dog vendor from The Simpsons. What do? Follow my husband around? Lady, he's putting my kids through college.
Yeah, that, or it's just a weird relationship of debtor and dettee where Tommy owes Frank so much money that he has that much interest in getting paid back as much as he can anyway, that he just spends that much time and attention trying to get money from Tommy.
He's the Tom Hagen of loan sharks. He works for only one client.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how good his other clients are. Because, yeah, if he has that much time for Tommy, he must have, like, a lot of really good clients.
Did you two notice that this casino operates only on cash and they don't use chips for their games?
Yeah, I did actually notice that it's always bills. I'm just assuming because that shows up on camera easier.
I think it's because they don't want to deal with the extra step of having to show Tommy going over to change them. They want to have, say, Frank just be able to walk up to him the moment he leaves the table and take a fat stack of cash out of his hands. It doesn't look as cool if Frank's goon is taking a tray of chips out of Tommy's hands. Did you notice that in this scene, Frank and his goon are going to corner Tommy, but they don't take any money off him because they can't. The casino just took all of Tommy's money. But in a moment, Ryan, Mickey, and Jack meet up outside, and Ryan says some goons took Tommy's money.
Is he just calling the people at the casino the goons?
You know what? That is a fair option. A couple scenes down the line here, Frank and his goon and Mickey, Jack, and Ryan are all going to meet up in the street. And it's the first time they've come across each other. Frank shouldn't even know who Mickey, Ryan, and Jack are.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I was like, has he been keeping tabs on him this long? Or I think, Josh, you maybe suggested that.
Oh, he's either presuming a lot or he has been keeping an eye on them and they haven't bothered to show that to the audience.
I mean, that's some serious off-screen headcanoning you'd have to do. That Frank is playing 4D chess here, following the people who are following Tommy. Mickey, Jack, and Ryan just know that Tommy exists, he has a gambling problem, and they suspect him. But until this moment of Ryan seeing Tommy with the needles, Tommy was just a guy that was a person of interest at most.
Yeah, that's true.
They're working with very little information, and so Frank should be working with even less. He's just some white people he's seen around that go to Lum Chen's, but the guy runs a business, so that's not weird.
Especially given what they do, they might just want information about things that they have, for all he knows.
Yeah, and they weren't caught tailing Tommy. They were just on the same sidewalk, essentially, heading the same basic direction down the street. White people walking down the sidewalk in this part of town? Not on my watch. Hey, did either of you two think that this casino looked an awful lot like David Fong's?
Yes! Oh, yes, especially the stairs going down.
Yes, with the mirrors.
I expected to see a koi fish tank.
Jack Marshak as Michael Bluth talking about the importance of family to Asian culture.
Oh, yeah. I get it.
What do we say is the most important thing? What comes first?
Breakfast. Family. Oh, I thought you meant of the things you eat. Were you two almost impressed by Ryan the Lion's ability to lose Tommy outside the restaurant?
I, for some reason, just assumed he let him go.
He follows him outside, and then he's just standing on the sidewalk going, where did he go? There is not one background actor on this street. Mickey and Jack roll up. They didn't see Tommy walking down the street.
I think that speaks less of Ryan's ability and more of Tommy's, like being able to disappear like that. That's like some Batman stuff.
Like getting from the opium den to the gaming tables.
Easy there. Are we suggesting he's also a ninja?
I said Batman, different.
Tommy's family, the Chens, have Ming vases, which are presumably pretty rare. I looked this up. Non-imperial pieces aren't the most valuable, but they're not cheap. They're going to be probably a couple $100 at least at that time, I would guess, each. And there was 2 of them in his hands from what I saw.
Yes, he had 2 of them.
And Tommy is a low-life gambler who loses a lot, and he never tried to steal those and cash them in previously to either continue gambling or, once he owed Frank a great deal of money, to pay some of that debt. I'm impressed by his self-control.
Really do want to see the scene where he's such a degenerate gambler. He sits down at the table and puts them on the table like they're chips.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I could see him doing that.
Oh, it would make the table prettier.
You know, Lum Chen's really got some balls, arguing with Tommy again over an artifact. I mean, that's how he got backhanded last time.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't his smartest move. He's normally super wise and all this, and seeing him just lunge for the vases, it just seemed like a really bad move.
I don't know, Stephanie. You keep asserting that Lum Chen is wise, but maybe the preponderance of the evidence suggests he isn't?
I don't want to admit that. I love that guy.
When every time you see a man, he's breaking character, maybe you have to reevaluate what his character truly is.
Oh, that's deep, man. That's deep. Nope, I hold on still.
Just assumed he was feeling more prepared, like, well, now I know Tommy's willing to hit me, so I will be ready to guard against that. Plus, you know, he's got 2 hands occupied with those vases, so that helps too. Although, I guess you could take a vase upside the head. That might not be fun either.
That would have been great if Tommy had just forfeited it all by cracking the vase over his head. And yeah, sometimes I'm going to refer to them as vases and sometimes as vases, depending on which one you use, I think.
All right.
Hey, Stephanie, did you clock the fact that Tommy seems to be wearing a wedding ring?
Oh, I think I noticed that at one point. Yeah.
It's on the right hand, which is less traditional in Western culture, although I would guess that many, many left-handed people probably put the ring on their right hand. But the AI overview I got suggested that many other cultures will wear the ring on the right hand.
Interesting. I wonder if he got married in Vegas and then just ditched her.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just an actor who forgot to take off his ring.
That would track.
Hey, Stephanie, have you ever used a payphone?
When I was a kid, I accidentally called a payphone and someone answered, and that was very scary. But I don't think I've actually used one.
Someone answered.
Yeah, I mean, even as a kid, I thought it was like super weird. I was like, what are you doing just walking by answering a random payphone?
Do you remember what they said? I wouldn't even know how to begin answering. I guess he would just say hello, but then be like, okay, whom are you trying to reach at this payphone?
Yeah, I don't know. That was just so weird because I was at my friend's house as like super little kid, like 6 years old, trying to call my mom to come pick me up. And yeah, I randomly called this payphone on accident and the person was just like, hello? And I was like, is this my mom or dad? And so I'm like, hey, you can come pick me up. and the person's like, I think you've got the wrong number. They were like really chill about it. But again, even at that age, I was like, what are you doing answering a payphone? Like, who are you and why have you done this? It was weird.
I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. How did you know it was a payphone?
Oh, they told me. They were so chill about it.
Wow, that is the coolest drug dealer I've ever heard of. Hey, did either of you two think that with Tommy having essentially infinite luck on his side, he could use these quarters he's using to make phone calls to actually rebuild his stake?
Yeah, I was just noticing today when I was watching that payphone scene. Well, he's got coins to make calls, apparently. I'm not totally sure why he's making calls from a payphone, but instead of going back home or somewhere else. He had the money to do that at least. Then he calls Frank, who's normally just there, or we'll find him shortly.
And then where do they go to meet? Lum Chen's place. Does that make any sense?
Would have made more sense to say, okay, just hold tight outside your place.
We needed Tommy to write down the address he was going to, only to then just chuck it on the floor so Lum Chen could find it.
That was another note of mine, is he crumples it up and very deliberately throws it onto the floor in the middle of the room before leaving.
For this plot to make sense, these characters have to jump through more hoops than are in Superman 64. Did you two pick up on just how few characters smoke in this episode? It's kind of surprising.
No.
Given that it's set entirely in casinos during the 80s, kind of stunning.
Would be kind of a smoke-filled room, I would think.
I guess the production couldn't afford fog.
Oh, yeah,
Couldn't
really?
afford a smoke machine.
It wouldn't be like a rating issue like it would nowadays, right? Like if they showed too many people smoking.
Oh, no, back then, especially as late as this aired, it would have been fine.
They would have showed doctors smoking in hospital shows.
Oh.
Did you notice that Frank throws on this white coat for a good chunk of the episode?
Oh, yeah, I remember him looking so cool.
For some reason, this episode's coat game is really on point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he looked like he was really getting down to business when he got on the white coat. I was like, all right, boss dudes come out, you know?
Very Kingpin.
Frank tells Tommy, don't be early and don't be late. I get the don't be early because nothing will give you cold feet in playing Russian roulette. Quite like seeing the previous guy's blood and brains getting cleaned off the wall. I don't quite get the don't be late, though.
If you just volunteered to play Russian roulette, I think you actually have the leverage in this situation. If you arrive 2 minutes late, I don't think they're going to turn you away. Am I the only one when Frank mentions that they have their own way of doing things? I couldn't help but think of that episode of Futurama with the robot wrestler that's dressed as a matador, whose whole gimmick is being a foreigner. His heel turn moment is, we have our own customs.
Look at my crazy passport.
Yes, thank you.
That didn't come to mind, but that does pretty well describe this situation.
Tommy comes out, somehow does not see Mickey, Jack, and Ryan, and then Frank and his goons show up, escort our gang off at gunpoint, and somehow Linda comes out immediately after and doesn't see any of that happening, all on an otherwise empty street.
Yeah, I found that peculiar, I'd say most of all, that Linda didn't see them when they were still basically getting into the car as far as we can tell as viewers.
Yes, exactly. If you like the horror genre as much as we do, you can preview the horror comic book Requiem for a Psychopath right now for free at the Inner Demon Entertainment website. Imagine a world in which horror film slashers are real. Then imagine a troubled teen bringing one out of retirement to help him take revenge on his bullies. It was written by me and drawn by friend of the show, Stephen Yu. Again, that's Requiem for a Psychopath on the Inner Demon Entertainment website. And if you dig it, please either review and rate it 5 stars on Amazon, or don't rate and review it at all. Ratings of less than 5 stars send the algorithm into murder mode for some reason. Thanks. I hope you enjoy it. Back from the far less thrilling cliffhanger of Linda choosing a direction to walk, we finally get an establishing shot of Frank's headquarters, and it's 410 Dundas Street West. Yeah, Frank seems to be operating out of a commercial building that is both abandoned, as indicated by graffiti, but also clearly for lease. It must have been raining for real when they filmed, because you can't see rain, yet there is clearly something dripping past the lens. Apparently this place is an import-export warehouse for stereotypically Chinese goods. You got your dragon parade head, your fireworks. I'm sure there's a crate of fortune cookies and a barrel of MSG around here somewhere. Frank tells our Troika he's going to hold them until Tommy returns, then he'll decide what he's going to do with them. Frank, buddy, you sent Tommy to play Russian roulette. You mean if he returns, right? Also, doesn't playing the game absolve the remainder of Tommy's debt? Aren't you square either way? What difference does it make if he returns? Is there an outcome where you murder 3 random white strangers? How is that good for business? Why are you doing any of this? Unfortunate for Crackerjack Marshak, he not only makes the rather cogent point I just did, the kidnapping has escalated Frank's legal exposure, but informs Frank, in front of his toadies, that he's now in over his head. Can't say he deserved to get slapped upside the head, but I also can't say I'm surprised. Back in the herbal medicine store, it's now Loom Chen's turn to find the note with the address on it. Man, Friday, you are really getting your money's worth out of that piece of plot convenience. Tommy, needles in hand, returns to Crime Alley with Linda so hot on his heels I can only assume she doesn't want to simply catch up. Ryan the Lion finds the fireworks, and they remove the gunpowder and combine it with other elements they've pilfered from around the warehouse to create a device that will burn out the lock on the... I'm just kidding. This isn't MacGyver. They just stuff a bunch of fireworks between the door and its frame, somehow, then light the fuse. To her credit, Louise Roby watches with the wide-eyed intensity of a child learning the hard way her parents are furries. My heart breaks for the editor of this scene, as the cast couldn't be anywhere near the fireworks, so we get a wonky-ass montage of the door flying inward, our heroes leaping out from behind some wooden crates, then a bunch of cutaways of individual fireworks going off and the room erupting in general. From this visual mess, we're meant to infer they ran out, even though that would mean charging headlong into an, admittedly, very cool inferno of sparks and explosions. And back they go to Lum Chen's. Something about the way they're revealed, huddled in the doorway when Lum Chen answers it, really makes them seem sad and desperate. When Lum Chen tells them yet again to get lost and worry about their own families, you're totally on his side. But Jack pointing out that Tommy might kill someone is enough to finally start to win Lum Chen over. So even where persuasion is concerned, Cracker Jack Marshak proves more efficacious than both Mickey and Ryan. Really not sure why they didn't give his line to them. In the Casino-rant, a mild-mannered janitor is about to have the most unexpected day of his life. I don't know why his use of a bright orange trash bag distracts me so, but it does. Despite all odds, Tommy overpowers the much larger man. Fortunate for the production, Linda finally makes her presence known, so we don't learn how exactly Tommy was planning on restraining this late-night sacrificial goat. And man, this really is Chinatown. This dude just runs off and lets them have the Casino-rant to themselves. It's Always Sunny style. No laws, just them and their tasty treats. So Tommy binds his sister and preps his needles, and I hear Jim Brewer's voice in my head from Half Baked talking about how Killer had to kill his own brother, man. And no, that's not a quote from the movie, but one my memory paraphrased with time, and that is now more real to me than any of the correct lines. Lum Chen is still on the fence regarding saving human life, but the appeal that Linda might go down with Tommy is enough to finally sway him. He not only gives up the address, but presents Jack with a good needle to counter the evil one. Not sure why he believes a historic acupuncture needle will help disrupt a game of Russian roulette, but it does prove useful, so what do I know? The fact it bears the mark of a great healer, Lum Chen's grandfather, is ultimately pointless in terms of plot, but does contribute to the theme of family, so I'll allow it. Now for some real narrative sleight of hand. Are you ready? Because you only get to see this once. Jack sends Mickey to the underground game with instruction not to actually stop Tommy, but to simply keep an eye on him while Jack and Ryan head to the Casino-rant. It's a true testament to Chris Wiggins' performance that none of that raises a red flag when all of it should. You're sending Mickey alone to an underground game. She's not to stop him. You and Ryan are both going to the Casino-rant, even though not one person has suggested there's any reason to go there. This is arguably the worst plan in human history, but Chris Wiggins is so damn smooth, were I present, I would just snap a sharp salute and bellow, "Aye aye, sir." Tommy arrives at the mystery location and is greeted by a host who's way more chill about punctuality than Frank led us to believe. If I'm being candid, he just seems happy and maybe even a little stunned Tommy came at all. Not for nothing, Friday, but this is hands down the most atmospheric warehouse we've seen so far, and we've seen a lot by this point. The lone ceiling fan seems an unlikely comfort, but the shadows it throws on the Russian roulette Lazy Susan makes for a great visual, and the shots we're gonna get looking down through its languidly whirling blades are top-notch and unique to this series. Tommy is informed the game will be Russian roulette, which is pretty cool, I admit. But since we already had martial arts in this episode, I suddenly wish it was an underground kumite or something. If only so Tommy wouldn't be so damn smug. He'd be like, crap, I'm gonna win, but I'll probably take a beating. He's presented with a revolver, and now I'm wondering if the haunted curio in a future episode will ever be a gun. What price would you pay for using it? I don't know. Maybe it shoots a bullet in two directions, killing the target and the user. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. In the empty Casino-rant that apparently anyone can just stroll into after hours, including two white dudes, Jack and Ryan search nearly half the vacant tables before finally discovering the bound and gagged Linda with a venomous coral snake slithering up her torso. Fun fact, venomous is used for creatures that deliver toxins by biting or stinging, whereas poisonous animals and plants deliver toxins passively when you eat, touch, or inhale them. Strangely, the actor Tommy is playing against isn't credited on IMDb, which is a phenomenal miscarriage of justice, because this guy sells it. I realize there is, of course, no such thing as a professional Russian roulette player, and even if there was, skill has nothing to do with it. All that said, if I saw that this was my opponent, I would instantly know I was going to lose. And even if I spotted the round as being next up, pointed the gun at this hombre, and pulled the trigger, it would just blow up in my hand, because this guy is the Air Jordan of Russian roulette. The only problem is, between this guy being so damn cool and Tommy so cocky, there's no fear to empathize with, and so no drama. Contrary-wise, there is real tension when we intercut with Jack and Ryan figuring out how to deal with the snake until they reveal their Wile E. Coyote solution. While Ryan doles out such sage advice to a fettered woman as, "Don't move," Jack, of course, actually MacGyvers a solution this time. Stealing a straw from a cocktail which should not be present at this late hour, he adds the mystical needle Lum Chen gave him to create an ersatz blowgun, which he uses to dispatch the snake. See that, Ryan? That's why coffee is for closers. This, of course, means Mickey, who apparently let herself into a game of Russian roulette, arrives just in time to watch Tommy blow his brains out. Interesting. Did he have a 50-50 chance and was just unlucky? Or did the death of the snake signal certain doom? Send us your thoughts, I guess. Before Tommy pulled the trigger, he told his opponent,
"I'm afraid you get the last shot."
1. I really wish we got a reverse shot of his opponent stoically staring down death without flinching. 2, and I'm no expert, but do you really have to pull the trigger when death is certain? Don't they just spin the barrel and you start over? Hey ref, can I get a ruling here? Are we playing Queensberry rules, or is this some hardcore Bale-Tudo Canadian variant? Well, Mickey did as she was told and did nothing to stop Tommy. Making her watch Tommy die seems like yet another unnecessary traumatizing, Jack, but you're the boss. Oh, my mistake. One of our heroes once again steals the curio off a corpse in front of a crowd of onlookers, so that's why she needed to be here. But I still contend she could have at least tried to intervene. Hey, at least she didn't have to kill the antagonist herself this time, so the nightmares should be marginally less severe.
Kind of like what happens next, where they're escorted to a storeroom.
All Frank had to do was just keep them at bay for a few minutes while Tommy took off, but instead, he kidnaps them.
Yeah, and Jack points that out, too.
Yes.
Which is kind of awesome. It's like, this is kidnapping. And then he tells them that Frank's in over his head, which I think is just amazing. He's taunting the guy that's abducting him. And this also seems like something that's just kind of a normal part of Frank's day. Does he really think that Frank doesn't know what he's doing?
Yeah, ballsy move, Jack, I have to say. At the same time, though, read the room.
Yeah, and that earns him the open palm smack to the back of the head from the goon. I don't know what else he was expecting to happen after saying that.
Frank should just think these are 3 customers going to Lum Chen's for some powdered tiger dong. White people in this part of town on the same night that I arranged a game of Russian roulette? Not taking any chances.
And yet you'll notice that there's at least one white woman watching the match.
Well, there's a person in that scene, man or woman, I'm not sure, but they have long red or pink hair, and they're wearing those glasses that only existed in the 80s, where one half of the glasses is a triangle and the other one's an oval.
I don't know how I didn't see that, but that's very 80s.
Their hair was shaved on one side and long on the other. It was a look more like early 90s. Put it this way, it's a look that's avant-garde even for the 80s.
Yeah, and that's just a background person at something that's happening. Eccentric looking person who you'd expect to just kind of blend in with everyone else there.
Sometimes this show picks people with very interesting looks to be background. People that have something more interesting going on visually than you would normally give to someone who's meant to blend in.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a choice of the extras, if they just wanted to be interesting and stand out, or if that was a specific decision from the costuming people.
They might have just put open the call. Need sketchy looking people to be in this Russian roulette scene, and whoever they got, they got. And they might not have had the wardrobe or hair makeup budget to give them all a specific look. It might have just been, come with the wardrobe you have and the look you've got, and we'll use it.
Yeah, that could be.
Linda comes out, looks over directly at where they should all be getting loaded into the car at gunpoint, and then just heads in the other direction after Tommy, even though she doesn't know he went that way either.
He was there less recently than the people who she should be seeing.
You see, Ryan, that's how you do it. If you're not 100% sure, just pick a direction and go, and you might get lucky. It worked for Linda. Spitballing off the top of my head, it seems weird that she doesn't find the note. Only Lum Chen does. That seems like something they should find together, but then she goes off on her own because she's young and spry and can possibly catch up to Tommy, whereas Lum Chen is going to have a harder time.
That's what I was thinking in rewatching those scenes this morning, that she walks right past it, also doesn't turn any lights on, so I don't know if the idea is she was concerned with following Tommy, didn't look around, couldn't see too well, just saw the light under the door and was like, all right, I'm out of here, I'm going to go follow him.
Our gang is locked up. Frank now has 2 goons, apparently. How do they escape? Fireworks. We are just checking all the boxes on the Asian stereotype bingo card here.
And they really got their money's worth out of those fireworks shots, too, because they have the lighting part, and then Jack, Mickey, and Ryan sneak out of frame, and they cut to they've already escaped, doors blown off already, and there's still fireworks going off.
This wasn't a case of let's MacGyver it.
Maybe just pour some gunpowder into the lock and then light a little trail just to the bottom of the door to get that to burn out or something.
No, their plan was, hey, let's just set off all the fireworks.
Yeah, I did not expect that.
None of us expected that.
More than a little dangerous. Speaking of which, notice they were never anywhere near the main sparks and explosions. For safety reasons, which is understandable. But apparently the show couldn't afford doubles to do the stunt of running out the now blown open door, because you never actually see anyone leaving. You just have to presume it happened off camera.
Oh yeah, they killed a lot of innocent people with that fireworks explosion. They almost trapped themselves in there. It really is the Mystery Science Theater. Oh, I'm a danger to myself and others. After Lum Chen reads the note, he calls out Linda, Tommy, like they're there in the apartment with him. Linda? Maybe. Why on earth would he think that Tommy is in the apartment with him?
I guess just that he didn't know of him leaving, so he's hoping to stop Tommy.
Leaving? It should be the other way around. He should be surprised if Tommy is there. Tommy only shows up to do things related to gambling, like give him money or steal vases, wash the blood off his hands after murdering a man.
Yeah, that's true.
I know he technically lives there, but every time we see Tommy come there, it's just to perform some little bit of business, like using the phone or meeting up with his loan shark, and then he's off again into the streets or to a casino.
Yeah, it's just a jumping off point to continue gambling or go back to gambling.
Keep gaming. What? It means gambling. Keep gambling. Oh, okay. Linda follows Tommy down Crime Alley to the game of Russian roulette.
Figured it was either going to be Russian roulette or some kind of Fight Clubby thing where they just fight to the death or something and people are betting on it.
He was going to come in and find Kirk and Spock doing the, what was it called? Not the Gom Jabbar. That's from Dune.
I only remember the Futurama parody of Kraplock.
Kravlok.
Was that Ponfar for the Vulcans?
Ponfar, yes.
Once every 70 years mating ritual for the Vulcans, I want to say. Or maybe don't want to say, it's a little bit embarrassing, but I think that's what it is.
That was the nerdiest sentence I've ever uttered. Confusing Gom Jabbar with Palmfar. An epic collision of geekness. Sorry, I'm going through the episode.
Oh, I can take it from here.
You got some hot takes, Josh?
Despite previously being turned away by Lum Chen, the Dream Team goes right back there as soon as they escape from the storehouse.
I'm sorry, but I fast-forwarded past the fireworks scene, and it really is ridiculous. You already filmed our heroes having escaped, and now you're just setting off fireworks in an empty room because you can. No drama whatsoever. There's no one who can get hurt at this point.
Yeah, that's why originally I was expecting to see some silhouettes that were supposed to be them creeping out the door with all that stuff still going off, because that'd be kind of exciting. But no, we're just holding on an empty room now. Everyone's already gone, which we did not see happen. We're just supposed to enjoy the flashy lights, the spectacle of fireworks going off at this point.
Just a little something for your trouble. Some bonus fireworks at no extra charge.
They spent the money and they were going to get everything they could out of those.
Yeah.
We made the trip across the border into Wisconsin. We're setting off every last one of these. Apparently there are no goons. There's no Frank because they're able to continue escaping from the building, having almost burnt it down. And then back they go to Lum Chen's for like the 3rd time in 2 days.
And he once again doesn't want to help them initially. He at least starts thinking once they tell him Tommy's going to kill. He's like, ooh, this is now a greater conflict for me.
But I am Asian, so And even then he doesn't act on it. It's not until they mention that Linda could be in trouble.
Once they announce that and he's finally ready to help them, it's kind of funny how they split up.
Did you two wonder about the fact that this place is even closed at all? Isn't it essentially a casino?
Yeah, it'd either be 24/7 or open till 2, 3, 4 in the morning or something like that. Just need a couple hours to clean up and reset or something.
Did you two have any questions about Tommy taking on a guy that's like twice his size? He thinks he's going to hold him down and tattoo him?
Oh, I was so confused by that. I was like, in what world does this make sense? It doesn't give him super strength.
Yeah, all he needed to do was like knock him over the back of the head or something and have him pass out. Maybe I would have bought it, but instead this guy's just conscious and fighting back.
Yeah.
And it was not that dude's night, but he was super chill about it. He just takes off. I guess even he's like, hey man, it's Chinatown. Are we any more won over by Linda at this point?
I thought her timing was pretty dumb. If you're going to help a family member, it's not like while they're shooting up with heroin. It's like when they're in a sane state, you know?
Tommy's not very receptive. He asks no follow-up questions about help. He just seems incredulous that she's saying that she'd help. But as desperate as he is, wouldn't he ask, did you put money away in savings?
And he says, "You've killed me."
Oh, yeah.
He had exactly enough time to tattoo that man and no more. That's why he's got to use her and not go find someone else. You know, I didn't even realize when I suggested that Linda was like the Lisa Simpson of the episode, that what probably cued me to think that was just how similar their names are.
Oh, yeah, they are.
But the truth is, I once again forgot that her name was Linda. So you were spot on, Stephanie, about thinking of her like Anne from Arrested Development. You notice the plan that Jack launches here?
Just for fun, I want to try to word for word read my note on that scene.
For fun, you absolutely have to read your note word for word. In fact, we should probably have you just read all your notes word for word. I can't wait for hilarity to ensue.
Loom Chen cooperates, giving the Dream Team the address and his own grandfather's enchanted needle and blowgun. Jack sends Mickey to simply find Tommy at the address and watch everything that unfolds at the underground Russian roulette club. He and Ryan go to where Linda is for some reason.
Yeah.
Because I'll admit, the first time through, I didn't think about it. They did slip it by pretty quickly. But in retrospect, I did find myself wondering, why did they go to the casino rant? I believe Ryan saw Tommy get booted from the table and told that his money was no good there. So really, that's the last place Tommy should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, why he tells Mickey not to interfere with Tommy, I can't fathom.
Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. Why wouldn't they want to try to save him?
You should absolutely interfere. In fact, go there and call the cops.
Yeah, really.
Don't just stand there and watch him play Russian roulette like she does.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's horrific. Just watching someone do that and just being like, oh, this is crazy and horrible, and then not think to call the police.
And just one minor clarification on your note. You referred to it as a blowgun, but what he actually gave him was most likely an acupuncture needle, and then Jack improvises a blowgun using a straw at the restaurant.
Oh, because it looked like there was a wooden, maybe bamboo tube, but that was just a little round case that the needle was in.
I think so.
Because I was confused about why he'd say this needle belonged to my grandfather, but he didn't refer to, oh, and here's a tube. It's a blowgun. It's like, take this needle.
Did he just join Homer's vigilance squad? Here's the needle, you gotta supply your own tube.
Here's a sack, but you gotta supply your own knobs.
Precisely. I believe what he gave him was an acupuncture needle. Why? No good reason. And then Jack used that to improvise a blowgun at the moment that they needed a blowgun to take care of the snake.
With a straw that was on hand and sized perfectly to create the positive and negative pressure to blow that out.
Couldn't use anything. Maybe that janitor's broom handle or something. Hey, Stephanie, did you happen to notice the shirt that the bouncer is wearing at the Russian roulette game? He's wearing like a navy blue shirt with golden circles all over it.
I remember thinking he looked very shiny and spiffy for running that kind of a game. Kind of reminds me of the extras kind of draw too much attention sometime, like that shirt's unnecessary.
Exactly.
But sure.
Next was when Tommy was preparing to give the tattoo to his sister.
Yeah, they really breezed past this one, thankfully, and skipped straight to a coral snake crawling across her body.
Oh,
Yeah, this is
God.
the first time where you don't see them even attempting to give the tattoo, and thankfully so.
It's one of those small blessings.
Yeah.
And I love that Jack not only knows supernatural stuff, he can also identify that as an extremely deadly coral snake.
Stephanie was right on top of this when we were watching it about how that wasn't actually a coral snake or venomous. And then, yeah, I noticed that in IMDb as I was looking up cast members, actually. But yeah, my note here is exactly this. Ryan and Jack are concerned about the snake crawling on Linda. Jack alarms everyone by misidentifying the snake as a poisonous variety.
Wow, you know your snakes, huh, Stephanie?
Maybe a little too much just because I've known of this snake for like very long time, like my whole life. So it was so obvious to me that it wasn't the poisonous one. Looked like if someone had just thrown a ball python on her and was like, oh no. To me, it looked ridiculous because it was very obvious. But I guess to like a lot of people, maybe that's not the case.
Well, you have watched a lot of Animal Planet in general, and particularly The Crocodile Hunter growing
Oh,
up.
yeah.
And you worked as an animal control officer and
Yep.
dealt with poisonous snakes where you were doing that.
Yeah.
Are you saying it's actually a ball python?
It's not a ball python. I don't remember. It wasn't a coral snake. They're the not poisonous snake. I don't remember the name.
I'm off to IMDb to figure this out because they do point out what it was.
Oh, really? They call it out as an error?
Yeah, it's under their goofs.
Exactly the kind of pedantic thing someone would point out.
Oh, here's how they put it. It is blatantly obvious that the snake is a scarlet king snake, which is non-venomous.
Thank you. There we go.
Well, I certainly hope someone got fired for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the wording, blatantly obvious. Yeah, they should have known better. I mean, I knew.
With Stephanie's exact thoughts.
Yeah.
Given that it's very colorful and contains pink, which I associate with coral, thank you very much, Disneyland, I was willing to believe that that was a coral snake.
Oh, good. I'm glad that moment wasn't ruined for you.
Opium Girl is on IMDb, but I don't see any mention of the other Russian roulette player because that guy is amazing.
Oh, yeah, I commented on that too. I just worked that in with my plot description. Yeah, he's doing the most intense, unnerving, dead-eye stare I've ever seen. It's like so cool and so intense about what he's doing.
That's what I thought too. I was like, this guy has seen some shit in his life to be able to act like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen such a brief, silent performance that impactful. The guy is kind of amazing.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, he really does steal that scene. Like, he's upstaging everyone. Not that they're bad, but he's just amazing. Like, I've never seen a Russian roulette match before, but I imagine that that's what someone who does that would look like.
Speaking of all the spin-offs we have from this episode, I want to follow this guy. I want to know his story.
Ooh, gosh, yeah.
I love that there's a box behind him that seems to just have a big red circle painted on it that almost looks like they tried to turn the side of the box into the Japanese flag for some reason.
I was too mesmerized by that guy's face.
They don't explain or show in any way how Mickey got in there. Who let her in? How did she talk her way in there, or did she sneak in? And if so, we've got to see that, because they have a door guy and a locked door, and I don't assume that there's any windows that she could sneak in through. Like, how did she get there?
Yeah, and the door guy is currently running the game, so it wasn't him.
Also, it's a small enough group where I would think she would be noticed immediately. A pale, redheaded woman walks in and no one notices in this small group.
She appears to be one of two white people and the only woman present.
Yeah.
And then in a minute, she's going to take the needles off of a corpse, and as is always the case, no one questions it on this show. The number of times our heroes rob the dead and it just goes uncommented on is just amazing. Oh, you know what? I walk it back. Here's a wealthy white business guy and a blonde woman.
Oh, okay.
I guess the underground of Chinatown is more egalitarian than the surface. That one needle not only hits the snake, but kills it. And there goes Tommy's luck. Because really, he still had a 50-50 chance at that point, but it was not his night.
And right before that, he was also taunting his opponent, saying, the last shot's yours, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think they make you take the last shot if it's down to a sure thing.
Oh, I was actually asking Stephanie that when we watched it, I think the first time. Like, wait, so if Tommy were to pull the trigger and it didn't fire and we're on the sixth one, does the guy have to commit suicide, or does he just put his hands up in the air and go, I lost?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I watched The Deer Hunter, and I still can't answer that question if I'm being honest. This is the one game we actually see being played in this gambling episode, was Russian roulette. Mickey just loots a corpse like she's a character in a Dungeons & Dragons campaign. And we go to commercial. Post-commercial break, Jack informs Mickey and Ryan that the needles are safely locked in the vault, confirming again in dialogue only that this episode's curio is technically a whole set of needles, not just one. Nothing wrong with that. It just begs some questions about the logistics of their use we don't have enough episode left to get into. Lum Chen shows up with Linda to thank the gang for saving her and to present them with, I believe, the same mystic needle Jack used to kill the snake. If so, that's super weird, because it means Jack gave the needle back, Lum Chen accepted it, then decided to give it away permanently as a gift. Then again, it took him a long time to come around on intervening with Tommy, so I guess this is in keeping with his character. Speaking of Tommy, can't say either Lum Chen or Linda are exhibiting Queen Victoria level mourning. Technically, Linda is wearing a black, or at least very dark coat, but I don't think that's in memory of Tommy. And Lum Chen is actually wearing a very Western coat and scarf over his traditional clothes. I'll choose to believe that's symbolic of his character arc over the episode. In fact, he outright states that he thought the modern world had lost the
time-honored values of family honor and tradition.
but that he sees the old world represented in our curio shop proprietors. It was pretty common in the old world to hook up with your cousin, so that checks out. I'm not sure why Lum Chen arrives at the conclusion that Jack is a healer. I guess it's the result of him misunderstanding what a curio shop is, but in the same breath that Jack denies it, he also pulls Lum Chen aside to express a long-held interest in
The art.
And with that, and this freeze frame of them smiling, 1,000 fiction writers picked up their pencils and got to work. You know, I'm starting to think that intense Russian roulette player might be this character in the credits listed as Chang, played by Jim Yip. His real name, people, don't come after me. I mean, Susan J got a credit as Opium Girl, and he had as much screen time as her and was at least as important. But that means Karen, portrayed by Wendy Lum, is probably that first female victim in all white, save her black stockings. And hold on, Herbert Lee was the Russian roulette manager? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize this was a white shoe snuff parlor. Obviously, you're no death dealer. You're an anti-life facilitator. You must be the bane of that warehouse's HR department.
I just keep thinking about how many traumatic events these people have witnessed, like some serious stuff that would require a lot of therapy.
Ryan the Lion really shook off that whole watching a demon hand burst out of a man's chest.
Yeah.
Lum Chen and Linda come to visit our troika at Curious Goods, and they seem in shockingly good spirits, having just lost a grandson.
And a brother, yeah.
The grandpa looked so relieved. I was so happy for him. It looked like a weight had really been taken off of his shoulders, you know?
Was your take on it that he gave that same needle to Jack as a gift?
That is what I assumed after some deliberation of like, well, this is a family heirloom and this is an outsider, but he did save my daughter.
But that means that night they went to report the bad news that Tommy died and then gave him back the needle, probably.
I would assume that had to have happened, yeah.
Lum Chen and Jack seem to really be hitting it off and could form their own spin-off. And then Linda comes over and starts talking to Mickey. So looks like the real haunted tattoo needles were the friends we made along the way.
Aww.
It would be interesting if they came back at least in 1 or 2 episodes, that for some reason Jack needed help, some information maybe, and consulted Lum Chen.
Yeah, it would be great if they showed up down the line.
Or even just a minor character detail of Mickey goes out to lunch sometime with Linda, and they somehow just witness something or in some way get involved in the plot of another episode.
They go out to discuss Mickey's relationship with Lloyd, her fiance. Their girl talk gets interrupted by something demonic happening.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome.
There you go.
Of all the characters we've seen, it would be coolest if these two returned.
Yeah.
Speaking of returns, I'll point out that the actor who plays Tommy, Leonard Cho, or Chow possibly, is going to be in another episode of Friday the 13th, the series. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume he's playing a different character, unless it's a flashback episode.
Oh, interesting.
No one will notice, they said.
It was also in War of the Worlds, the TV show, and Millennium. And then we talked a little bit about My Secret Identity with the actress that played Linda.
Also the one that played AJ?
Yes, 3 actors from this show were also on My Secret Identity. I'm guessing that storyline follows a mostly Asian cast, but I could be wrong.
Interesting. Did that ending seem at all awkwardly timed or rushed to you? Especially with that freeze frame right after Jack's very mysterious comment about how he's not a healer, but I've always been interested in the art.
I don't think that's out of character with Jack. His whole thing is that he studies Satanism and witchcraft and cursed objects and history, and I think probably all other subjects. He seems like a bit of a Renaissance man. He could identify a coral snake, even if the episode got it wrong. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he'd be interested in that subject. And actually, I was going to say I think it's one of the better freeze frames in terms of the exact frame that they chose to end on. A lot of times they end on Ryan the Lion making a really awkward face, and I feel really bad for John D. LeMay. This one I thought was actually pretty natural and solid. That said, I do agree with you that that particular phrasing is a bit clunky.
As opposed to just saying, I like the sound of it, or something along those lines.
Why art singular instead of arts? I don't know.
I thought the ending was really cute overall.
It was definitely the Wayne's World mega happy ending, especially after the last one where they failed on most accounts and did not recover the item.
Well, that makes me want to watch that one now. That's definitely a different wrap-up than I'm used to.
The last one was an interesting exception.
Now, is that one that ends up basically out in the world and can still do damage, or is this it was lost essentially? You wouldn't expect anyone to ever recover it anytime soon?
No, this isn't an Indiana Jones. It fell down a crevasse. It's still out there, and in fact, someone picks it up, and we know that the cycle is going to continue.
Ooh, I wonder if they're going to sequelize that then.
Did you have any favorites and least favorites in terms of the cast?
I've got to go with, as favorite, the opponent of Tommy in the Russian roulette game.
Oh, that's a good choice, yeah.
0 lines spoken, but he said so much.
No one can rock a sweaty wife beater like that guy.
With the bad choices the grandpa made, he did fall a little bit out of my favor, sadly. I really loved Frank. I thought he was really cool, a little bit too nice, a little bit too communicative. But overall, his just like even vibe. He never really lost his temper. Made it scarier, so I thought that was pretty neat.
And he never even copped to the fact that he might murder Jack, Mickey, and Ryan. He just says, I'll decide what to do with you later.
Yeah.
He apparently hasn't committed to that course of action yet.
And what he did was forget about them and ignore their escape attempt. How did you like this episode compared to other episodes you've seen?
I thought it was very interesting. I did like that little spin where Loom Chen did try to return the needles.
Like I said, last episode they didn't recover an item. This one, they actually had someone try to actively return the item. They're still finding some ways to keep it interesting.
It also begs the question, will Jack consider maybe branding all the things they have recovered just in case they someday somehow get out?
I like that you give that to Jack. He's the only one that would think of it from our group.
Yeah.
I assume he's the most responsible and on the ball about that kind of thing.
Hands down. He'd probably choose the font type and graphic design, the whole thing, and get them printed up himself.
Maybe go as far as to say on the label falsely that these are just replicas of antiques or something like that. They have no monetary value.
Warning, do not use for evil purposes. Replica can't be used to contact Satan.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this episode or any others or anything pertaining to the show?
I just wish there was a koi tank on those stairs in the casino. Sorry, Casino Run.
Why stop there? Why not one in Curious Goods?
Oh my gosh, that would be so lovely. Oh, and then they could feed the fish like in Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, so they pivot. They were an antique store, but now they're more into home aquariums.
Hell yeah. I feel like that's how a lot of aquarium stores get started. They just got a bunch of junk laying around and then they're like, yeah, let's add some fish.
You always go in bright-eyed thinking you're going to be the one that creates the successful antique store, and then you end up pivoting to aquariums.
Yeah, highly lucrative.
You grow up a little, you become conservative, you pivot to home aquariums.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, I just want to take a moment to thank you for providing the music for this podcast.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having us on the podcast, and maybe someday we'll be back on again.
Thought you were about to propose someday maybe I'll be on your podcast.
My still pending Stunt Island podcast.
Oh, we gotta do that.
That's going to be my curio one of these episodes.
Stunt Island.
You know it.
Heck yeah.
Such a great game.
Friend of the show, Peter, just told me the other day that apparently one of the actors from Phantasmagoria 2 has his own YouTube channel where I believe he talks about that specifically and other motion capture games of the late 90s and early 2000s.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
I got to go down that rabbit hole, but I'll let you know once I do. So yeah, crazier things have happened. You could do a whole podcast about Stunt Island.
Or, a YouTube channel of Stephanie playing the stunts that I design.
You should call the channel Should Be a Cakewalk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
This has been Three White People Review the Asian episode. For those keeping score at home, Stephanie missed the female-centric Vanity's Mirror by exactly one episode, and reviewed a story in which Mickey only had a few lines, and our sole new female character was kinda boring, Linda. Josh missed the music episode Cup of Time by a wide margin. Friend of the show, TV's Matt, missed the vampire episode, and Stephen Yu pulled a perfect hat trick and missed the Asian episode, the comic book episode, and the boxing episode. And yet, somehow, Jeremiah landed the Cronenberg episode and claimed that vampire episode. I'm just saying, seems fishy. That, or I have to concede that watching these one by one is a terrible system, and I'm not about to do that. So join us next time and we'll discover together whatever madness awaits us. Thanks for listening, everyone. We know you have a lot of options when choosing a Friday the 13th the Series podcast, and we sincerely thank you for choosing ours. Special thanks to Joshua Romeo for original music and to Stephen Yu for original art. And be sure to check out the Joe on Joe podcast, the only podcast where Joe Schlepsky discusses G.I. Joe. Tommy could have tattooed anything, and he didn't draw Jason. What are we even doing here, Friday? If you want to support our show, you can leave a review and rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. If you want an occasional update on our projects, you can sign up for our newsletter at the Inner Demon Entertainment website. And if you want to complain about social media with us on social media, you can find links on our website. Come ride the lightning with us next time for episode 17, The Executioner. It's about a dentist. And always remember what Carl said to Frylock. It don't matter. None of this matters. Good night, everybody.